I kind of learned that I have an addiction. And I know that a lot of other people who are football fans have an addiction too. I don't even know if I'm going to watch any games next year. I really don't.
So how's it going? I'm back with my first face video since January of 2024. And in the last face video that I made in January of 2024, I believe it was before the Buccaneers playoff game, after the Giants game where the Eagles got completely pulverized by what should have been a lesser team. I came out and I said that I wasn't going to watch any Eagles games in the 2024 NFL season. The reason why I said that was because I felt like the team had taken too much control over me. I felt like I had an addiction. I felt like, you know, I I could have contributed more to myself and my family, and I'm not going to say that I felt depressed about the Eagles, but I was upset about myself about the fact that I just couldn't put it down. Like when I watch an Eagles game, it's the only thing that ever matters in my life. And it was something that I had no control over. Like I could not control myself in that light. I told myself that I wasn't going to watch any Eagles games. I said it multiple times. I think I said it in that video. I've got some good news and I've got some bad news. The bad news is that I did not complete my goal. I did watch Eagles games this year. Um, but the good news is the fact that throughout that time of last year, in the 2024 NFL season, last season, it's last season now, I missed the most games that I've ever missed in my life since I became a fan. I think in my whole time before that, I'd only missed 4 or 5 games, maybe six. In the 2024 NFL season, I missed every preseason game, which I would never try to do. I missed the draft. I missed every game from weeks 1 through 10, which was 9 games. From the Packers game to the first Cowboys game, I missed those ones. I missed the Ravens game. I missed the pretty much like the half of the third quarter to the fourth quarter of the second Cowboys game, and I missed the last Giants game. I will say that as time kind of went on and the Eagles started winning, it became harder and harder to just not watch this team. It really was like grating on me. Um, I had this strategy going into this thing where I was like, nobody tell me anything that's gonna happen in the game because that's gonna make me want to watch the game. And I did that for the first 9 weeks, and then it was just something that I had to peek at it. And I'm not going to say that there was a sort of relapse, but I did watch those two primetime games in the middle of the year, Rams and Commanders. um, I did watch the Panthers game and the Steelers game, and then the Commanders game. I will say, like, that watching that game was just, I had the biggest headache after that game. I was so internally mad. I realized that not watching the games was like not sustainable. Because what was I going to do for the rest of my life? Tell people, don't tell me what's going on in the games? Um, talk to my therapist. I got a new therapist this year, so got someone to talk about my feelings instead of family members and random people on the internet basically, you know, told me that I should watch the games. Like, it was weird because he was giving me advice, you know, that certain people weren't giving me. Um, Things that like just weren't even sustainable at home either. Like, you should tell your wife to watch the kids while you're watching the games. Just like impossible because my son is sometimes crazy. So that was just not something that was sustainable. To the chagrin of my wife, you know, I watched the three playoff games and the Super Bowl. Um, this, despite the fact that my son was going crazy throughout all of them, but I wasn't able to meet my goal. I, I I will say that probably the worst week was the Tampa week, where like it was it was so difficult to stay home not watching the game. There was a 20-minute span right before the game ended where I like passed out. I passed out just because I don't know what was happening. I just passed out. I've never been addicted to any sort of substances, alcohol, tobacco, drugs. I imagine that that's kind of like what withdrawals feel like, but I've never felt that way before in my whole entire life. Just feeling withdrawal symptoms. I felt like when I went places, it was easier to not watch the games because I was distracting myself. Like, I took my son to Hot Wheels Monster Truck Live during one of the weeks. I took him to Chuck E. Cheese for one of the weeks. I took him to the park a few times. You know, one of the other times it was like his birthday, so I didn't watch anyway. So there were ways in which I could distract myself if I wasn't at home. But when I was at home, man, I think the the Tampa Bay game, that was one of them where I just outright passed out. The other one was I think it was the first Giants game where I was just like, whatever. I mean, it was easier not watching the games because my son always had like Paw Patrol or like SpongeBob SquarePants or some sort of TV show on the TV, so like I couldn't watch it. So that made it easier, but man, like there were certain times where I felt like I had to pass out. There were literal games that I just didn't watch. I did not think that this team would go as far as they did. Um, you know, there's part of me where I'm like, I wish I had watched these games, but I was just on the road to like doing what I thought I needed to do. I don't really know what I'm gonna do next moving forward. Um, when the Eagles won their first Super Bowl, I told my wife that I wasn't going to be as crazy, but that wasn't necessarily true. That isn't something that happened. Like, pretty much the opposite happened. I don't even really know why. I think at this point, and I'm not going to promise anything, but I feel more fulfilled. I don't know if that's going to translate when everything starts back up again, but I feel more fulfilled. I feel like a more fulfilled person. I feel like the glass is more full. Not to the point where like I'm never going to care, but I think that I kind of proved to myself that I could miss a game if I really needed to. I I don't know what I'm going to do moving forward. I don't know how I'm going to act moving forward. I definitely did pick up again a lot of the negative qualities that I had during the season. Sometimes I was able to control my heart rate. I definitely wasn't pacing around anymore. I watched all the games just sitting down on the couch, trying to stay calm. I don't know what next year is going to bring. I don't even know if I'm going to be making these videos. I've been doing a lot with the Tecmo League, the BTFL. Um, it was definitely a strange year because I wasn't making videos week after week. That's just not something that I was used to. Um, but I think it was something that I had to do in order to be a more sane person and to be someone that my family could rely on. I'm hoping that moving forward, I'm able to take what I was doing before and continue to duplicate it and try not to be as reliant on the team and to more or less try to have more control. I guess the next video I'll make is my reaction to the Super Bowl. I know it's a few weeks late, but you know, sometimes you just need some time to internalize things. Hope everyone has a good one. I'm out. Peace.